Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Hang on. This is Joe. This is my dad. Did you know that was actually one of the first books that predicted the internet?
Which?
It was called A Logic Named Joe.
No, didn't know that.
Kind of talked about how computing would evolve to the point where it's at, home computing and whatnot.
Well, it did.
It's kind of cool.
It went further than a lot of people thought, I think.
Yeah. So growing up, we pretty much had, well, either Commodore computers or PCs, DOS, and Windows.
Well, we had DOS because as soon as we got them at work, I made sure I had something at home.
That was compatible.
Right, so that I could bring work home and work at home, too.
We had clones.
That was before you could be online, so I always had the same kind of computer, and then I would store it on a disk, bring the disk home, plug it in, work on it,
Sure.
copy it, take that back.
Now, did you ever
Then
look
they
at a
were the
Mac?
smaller disks.
Yeah, 3.5-inch floppies.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about getting a Mac?
Yeah, but they weren't floppy.
Well, I know,
They were
but
solid.
it's solid.
The floppy ones were actually floppy.
Right, but they were still discs, but they were still
Like
called
3
floppy
inch or
disks,
something,
just
about a 3 inch
smaller.
square.
Yeah, they went to 5 1/4, and then 3.5 inches,
Yeah.
about as small as they got.
Yeah.
But they were still called floppy disks
Okay.
because the disc itself, the media
It's
itself
inside
was
it.
floppy.
Yeah, it's inside.
It's just the
plastic.
jacket wasn't as floppy as the traditional, like 8-foot.
In a lot of ways, it was better.
Well, yeah, it was
Because-
hard casing.
Well, no, I mean, a lot of ways, the disc idea of having it on disc was better
Why?
because you always had a backup.
But you still make backups now.
Yeah, but they make it complicated. Although I noticed I talked to HP people,
Yeah.
and that
At
it would be
Gnomedex?
nice to have 2 drives inside the
Yeah.
computer to make
Yeah.
it easy to back up.
Yeah.
And I understand that if a fire comes, you lost anything anyway. But they said they were working on it. But when we went to the Apple store tonight, they had it was like an umbrella icon, but it was backup.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like they built something into their system to try and make it easier than a flash drive or a external drive or
I think that's
on the internet.
It's tied into a .Mac account. I'm not exactly sure the nuances of backup. I haven't had a .Mac account.
do you have to pay for it? Oh, if you use that backup, you have to pay for it?
That backup software and service, I believe it's tied into your .Mac account.
See, my thought is to build it in there.
Well, HP does have that. HP has they have a bay where you can, it's literally, it disconnects and reconnects, and you just take the drive out and you can put it wherever.
See, that's why I think it should be.
They have those.
Yeah, but what I take it even that next step so that when you're working on your computer, because I don't leave mine on all the time.
Right.
So when I shut it down, I think at that point part of the shutdown should be I'll back up all the files, then shut down.
Right.
Anything you change during the day is backed up.
Like incrementally. There's software that does that. Unfortunately, it's kind of all...
Gets complicated.
Yeah, it gets complicated. It's messy. It's not
the problem.
easy. Well,
And the internet costs you money.
yeah, because you're basically
Plus-
renting...
Plus, once it's on the internet, I don't care about security because if it's out there, someone can get to it
Right.
somehow.
Right. But
And
there's
so
no...
That's why I don't like doing that.
If it's not baked into the operating system, it's
Right.
just... And even when it's baked into the because Windows has a backup utility, it's just not very good.
Well, everybody that stores on the internet, though, probably has personal information that they're backing up out there
Right.
that they wouldn't want me to see or
Right.
you to see.
Right.
So, but what they don't realize is the fact that it's even on the internet, someone can get to it.
Right. But the chances of that happening are relatively slim.
Well, they say it's secure, but still.
Well, you're only as secure as the weakest link.
Right.
And the weakest link is usually a human being, not a computer.
Right, and us old people don't trust people.
Well, some young people are just as equally as paranoid when it comes to backup. But I've been looking for good backup software for years, and I haven't found it. The closest one I've found that I like is internet-based.
I don't know why someone can't write a program, and it just comes up with your screen and it'll say backup at the top, and it asks you and you have all these programs listed. It says, what programs do you list? So I'd go in there and click, I use Excel, I use Word, I use whatever the photo thing is, I use that one.
But
And then it would just back up those files. That's all it would look
But the
for.
problem is that there's so much software available that unless the program was written the right way, it wouldn't know what data files you would have.
Well, but if they were smart enough when they wrote it, they would keep that file on the internet.
Right.
Then you'd go out and grab that file
But
and
there are
bring
mi-
it just
but
the ones
the-
in you need.
The issue is there are millions and millions of programs and permutations out there for data.
Yeah, but the people that go beyond Microsoft Word
Right,
or
right, right.
Mac. Those people know how to do it anyway.
Not necessarily.
Most
You'd
of
be
them do.
surprised. Most people that end up getting screwed by not having a backup are the people that would know better to have a backup.
Yeah, me.
Well, to a certain degree. Well, what about just getting an external drive and just keep. Here's my suggestion.
I have one. I just don't have it hooked up.
Well,
it's
just
a
plug it in. USB or FireWire.
but I got a
Maxter,
no,
Western Digital.
Western Digital.
Yeah.
It's like 500 gig or something.
Which is more than enough.
I know that, but I just
Right.
haven't plugged it in yet.
Okay, so
supposedly it's supposed to be easy.
yeah, just plug it in.
I know,
It'll
yeah.
mount. You've got Windows XP.
Okay.
It'll recognize it. You plug it in. It'll recognize it as a separate drive in your My Computer or whatever. It'll show up as a drive here. And then what I would suggest you do, and I suggested this years ago, keep all your documents and Excel spreadsheets and pictures and all that important data in the My Documents folder, or the Documents folder.
I think that's where it's all at.
Right. Most programs now write to the My Documents folder for that reason.
But I keep my stuff pretty organized.
Right. Well, then just copy that folder over to the backup drive.
Yeah, I know. You just
That's
drag
it.
it, right? Click
That's
and
it.
drag. Yeah, I know.
You don't need
Real
a program
easy.
you don't need a program to tell you how to do that. You just plug in the external drive. Make sure it's powered on and everything.
But I just want one button there that says backup, and I go point to it and push it, and it does it by itself without me having to do that.
But the issue is,
because I don't know how to do that.
but drag and drop. You know how to drag and
I
drop.
can do that. Once someone shows me, I could probably do it.
Well, this is what you do. I mean, when you open it up, okay, so like you're going to have these drives on your computer. These are going to show up your CD drive and your C drive and your D drive. Well, when you plug in the USB external disk, it's going to show up as a separate drive in there. And then what you do is you may have to open up another one of these windows. So you may have to open up two
Two that look the same?
that look the same essentially. So
Well, see, that don't look the same. They're different.
Right, because this is in this folder, and this is in this folder. They're in two separate folders. So let's say, I've got a storage H drive here. Let's say that's your external disk, however it gets mounted. I would take one folder over here, like this is my folder, and I would just drag it over there, and then let it go.
Yeah.
Now in Windows, here in Windows Vista, it gives me different help, but that's essentially what you want to do. You just want to take, drag, and then drop, and then it'll move over there. Now, if you try to do that more than once, that's the first step.
The second time I'll ask you, do you really want to override it?
Right. So what I would suggest doing is that in this removable drive, or your USB drive, you rename it, and you rename it like to whatever the date is that you back that up, so that you've got a data archive. My data, and then the date, so that you have a date, so you knew when you copied that over, so you can have an incremental backup, if you will.
Yeah, but they'd all be on the same drive, so that
Doesn't matter.
any good.
Well, it does if you've had a document
not if
that
the same
changed.
thing happens to either one of those drives that happened to the drive I had before.
Right, but you've got 500 gigabytes of storage, Dad, and I'm telling you, you probably have maybe 100 megabytes of.
I know it's a lot. Until you get into songs.
Pictures and music, but you don't really do a lot of music or pictures, or definitely don't do videos.
Pictures, so.
Right, Mom does pictures, but she also resizes them and whatnot. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. But you guys don't even do any videos either.
No,
right,
not yet.
Right, but that's all you have to do is just drag it from one to the other. I mean, that's as simple as it gets. You don't need a complex program to do that for you. And honestly, you're not doing a lot of file writing anyway. Another way of doing it is just keep that USB drive plugged in, and then when you save something, just do it the way I told you to do. I was going to say you can copy it both. You can save it to both locations, but that's a little more complex.
Well, yeah, because you can make them run side by side, so it's putting the information on two drives at the same time, but it goes slower.
Right. So if anything, buy a smaller removable drive and bring it on site and then take it off site, because there's different things you can do inside the computer. But I think your worry is that you want it to be safe, and ultimately safe means copying it and having it off site, which is the reason why some people have it backed up to the internet.
Yeah. The other thing I'd like to be able to do easy to take an Excel, like when we came here, it'd been nice to bring a particular Excel worksheet that I work with, is to copy it from my home computer to the laptop, so that I could bring the laptop with me, and if I wanted to work on it, I could.
Well, that's where a lot of their Office
Those
applications,
little stick ones,
either removable media or there's like Google Docs and spreadsheets. Google has a free. You can go to Google's been doing this. There's a few places that have been doing this at docs.google.com. And in here, if I need to create a document that I need multiple people to edit, or a spreadsheet that I want multiple people to edit, instead of thinking of it as a file that sits in a computer and you copy it over and all this stuff, Google Docs and spreadsheets is basically web-based documents. And so here's our Gnomedex 7 sponsors and vendors. So these are all some spreadsheets and some are documents. And in here, I can either upload a document or a spreadsheet. I can create a new document or spreadsheet, or in this case, I've got a document.
Okay, so where's that spreadsheet?
On the net.
That's on the internet.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it on the internet.
Okay.
I want it at home. But I want to take it from home and put it on my laptop, so when I take my laptop with me, I have the spreadsheet with me on my laptop.
So copy it over to a USB drive.
One of them little ones?
Yeah,
Sticks?
just a stick. You got one at Gnomedex?
I got a couple sticks.
All right.
I haven't used them yet, but I got them.
Yeah, I'd use those. Because it's going to be easier than because you don't have a home network at home. So
But what I want to do
over.
is copy it.
Right.
I want it to be there and here. So in 2 places.
Right.
Well, actually 3 places. It would be there, here, and on the
same
stick.
in the same version of the file?
Yeah, and then what I do, and when I work on it, then I'd save it to here to there, and
Right.
then take this out, plug it there.
Yeah.
So then they're all the same again.
Well, what if you just edited it on the stick? You wouldn't need to copy to the laptop. You could just keep
We'll
the
work
version
off
on the
select
stick.
there. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can. It's a drive. You can write to it. You can read from it. It's a physical drive.
Someone I thought it was you told me they weren't real dependable. Those sticks.
Be careful about it. I mean, any kind of media can be. It's volatile.
Because I was going to get different color ones. So
Yeah,
one color
that's fine.
could be for Word.
I mean,
one could be-
anytime I have like a USB stick, and I've got a few of them. Anytime I have a USB stick, I don't know if I've got any in here.
Yeah, it's fine.
Did you see it? No, that's a remote. That's a Wi-Fi adapter. Apparently I moved it. Anyway, I don't need the prop. I've got a few of them, but I don't. I mean, I copy things over, but it's a temporary copy. So if something gets messed up, I've got to back up somewhere else. But
Yeah.
I always treat those like I treat floppy drives. So you can edit on it. You can save it that way, but you can edit directly on the removable media and then copy it back.
I need to try that stuff.
You know what?
but
I still recommend. Yeah, I still recommend. I know you say it's crazy, but
Internet.
the internet, just because I don't have to worry about saving, I can export
Well,
from
plus
here.
it costs you money.
No, this is free. This is Google Docs and spreadsheets. It's free.
So what's their incentive for you to put it out there?
How does
free?
Google make money?
Yeah,
How do they make money?
probably advertising. But I've
Advertising.
never
They don't-
seen where they advertise.
They don't have advertising in Google Docs, at least at this point in time. The Office is this is a loss leader. Right now, everyone's trying to topple Microsoft in terms of Office. In fact, Apple's kind of stupid. I mean, they're smart, but they're kind of stupid for selling iWork. They should be giving it away for free with Macs.
What's iWork?
That's what I was showing you. They've got the spreadsheet application. They've got Pages, which is like Microsoft Word, and they got Keynote, which is like PowerPoint. Pages is kind of sucky.
What's Pages?
It's like Microsoft Word.
Okay.
It's not. I was trying to use it, and it's just like it's just not there yet. Keynote is definitely better than PowerPoint. Numbers, I'm not sure if it's ever going to reach Excel, but I think they're giving people enough. They shouldn't be selling it though. It should actually come. Then some people use OpenOffice, which is an open source version of an Office suite. But that doesn't solve your problem. Your issue is having it on multiple machines, and if you want it on multiple machines, you want to use an internet-based application. There are a few of them out there. It's just I use Google just because, well, it's there, and I trust them with my
Well, but
data
if you
enough.
have it there, why even have it on your own computer?
Sometimes it's easier to work offline.
Because they're backing up.
Yes, it's easier sometimes to work in an offline capacity. I mean, there's some things that this doesn't do as quickly as I can in Excel. I don't use Excel all that often anymore. Every once in a while I will, but it's largely, I mean, here, this is for organizing data in a tabular format.
Do you ever sort that?
So, no, not really. If I wanted to sort it, I'd probably export it and sort it in a different way. But, it all comes down to how you're going to
Use it.
Yeah, how you're going to use it, where you're going to use it. I mean, that's why I said, you might as well give it a shot. I mean, it's free. I mean, at least, and Google has yet to really charge for something that they've had for free at one time, unless they've acquired it previously.
Well, if they're giving it free, they're not going to topple Microsoft.
Yeah, they will.
We'll see.
It will. It's a loss leader for them right now. Office, having an Office application is not a value add anymore. I mean, the idea of having an Office suite is mildly antiquated. There's a lot more that your computer can do. These are traditional legacy apps. Like, remember what Guy Kawasaki talked about at Gnomedex? That the computer was there for word processing and database and all these things. That's a very, very old way of thinking about an Office suite. It's certainly not worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Microsoft does it right now because it can. It has that power, but now there are good applications that are out there. OpenOffice is not great, but it's open source, which means it's absolutely free, and it does exactly what you do pretty much most people do in Word and what most people do in Excel.
It's free.
And it's open source, yeah, which means someone can take it and tweak it even further. There's even a special version of it for the Mac.
You mean they get the code, actual code?
You can get the code.
But then you got to be a programmer. So.
Well, that's specifically for developers, and the idea is that something's not abandoned. Like at a corporation, if they develop software and they abandon it, let's say there was a great accounting package or whatever application, and they stopped developing it. Well, if the code was owned and there's all these copyrights on it and everything, no one would ever be able to touch it. But if it was great code and no one really wanted to develop for it, but it was open source, another developer could pick up in its place and then continue the ball. They could continue it further.
What would be their incentive to do that?
If the program was good, or if there was a community around it saying this was a really good program.
Cool. But what would be their incentive to do that?
Because they like to use the program.
Okay, so they like to use the program. Why would they want to change it if they couldn't make money for what they're doing?
Who says they're not making money?
How would they make money?
Service and support, or selling packages, or customizations that they made that weren't necessarily in the open source arena. They could easily create, depending on the actual software license itself. The idea is that they could monetize it. Believe you me, people make money on open source. I paid money to have open source development to developers. That's how they make money.
Okay.